This part is an introduction to a firefighter training that we had done here near the end of May in 2022. It was a different kind of firefighter training and I found it very interesting, and so we recorded it and I wanted to upload it and share it here because I think maybe some of you would find it enjoyable. And what it amounted to is last year I scheduled with my local fire chief the fire exercise for this year. Originally, the plan was that we would simulate a rescue of an injured worker, incapacitated worker, up on top of a rail car. And the plan was that they would come on site, do an evaluation from the ground, decide which is the best way to approach it, and then how do you bring a Stokes basket up there, the assessing, evaluating of the injured worker, and then bringing them down using a Stokes basket. So that was the original plan, but earlier in May, the fire chief had an opportunity to do some special or different training for his department and asked if I'd be all right with that, and I said, yeah, that'd be great. And a member from my county's ropes team was going to lead the exercise for them, and he was going to show them how to use a rope system to lower somebody to the ground in a Stokes basket. And it was very interesting. We shot a total of 1 hour and 40 minutes worth of video. My son edited it down and then sped it up, and it's still quite a bit, still like 23 minutes, but I think it's very interesting to watch. For several of the volunteers that were out, this was new stuff, and the man from the ropes team, he brought some equipment, but primarily they wanted to use the normal everyday equipment that is carried on by the first responders in my area. And so this was not an optimal thing, is what I'm trying to say. It's not like this was completely staged and they wanted to bring out the most optimal of all equipment and all scenarios. The fire chief and the man from the ropes team, they really wanted to make this as real world as possible so that they could evaluate where they are today and what they need to do to improve and to continue to think. I'll say this again at the end, but I am blessed to have a local volunteer fire department, not just mine and my township, but the next township over. They always come out every time I have a training. They're a sister department with my townships. And then also this exercise, and virtually I think almost every time I've had them out, had an actual departments out, EMTs from the local ambulance service, at least 1 or 2 always show up. And this year, again, had EMTs, and the EMTs were also involved. Anyway, the man from the ropes team came out. He took over the entire exercise as far as the talking. He was showing them different rope techniques, different techniques of how to create a harness using ropes or using straps, how to develop a harness if you're injured victim, injured worker, whether they're conscious, unconscious, whether their injuries in the upper part of their body, lower part of their body. How do you design a harness to either lift them, move them, but primarily once you get them in the Stokes basket, how do you isolate them so that they don't move? Because the Stokes basket primarily straps you across the top part. But if you're going to be roping somebody down, of course the Stokes basket's going to move and you don't want to aggravate somebody's injury, so he was showing them how to develop a harness. And in the video, you'll look, there's only one man from the ropes team, and so he does what we've edited out. He does a lot of discussing in the beginning, and then as you see the video, you'll see that he's up and down the towers. He's giving instructions, he's answering questions, he's inviting questions, and then he's observing and helping out people. He's showing them how to make knots and how to do things. And one of the questions that they had to deal with is, how do you create the actual rope system? How do you get it tight? Where do you anchor it to at the rail car? Where do you anchor it to down on the ground? Can you or can you not create a high point that's above the injured person? And in this situation, they wanted to work on the fact that no, you could not. So if you can't develop a high point, what do you do? And so you can see that in the video as they discuss it and as they go and work through it. And like I said, they just used the equipment that was on hand that the local volunteers showed up on the site with. It's what you have, and that's one of the things he emphasized them, was to continue to think, improvise, how to analyze. He was spent quite a bit of time discussing an anchoring points. How do you identify an anchor point? How do you, if possible, can you reinforce an anchor point? How many different types of ropes do you need to secure an anchor point? He also discussed rope diameter, rope strength, different kinds of knots, depending on your rope, depending on the function. So it was very, very good. I found it very informative. So like I said, it's 20-some minutes. Feel free to hop around and see whatever it is you may find interesting. The very last of the video, he shows them how to create a high point using a ladder and ropes and the wheel of a vehicle as a base for your ladder. And then he demonstrates that when you get it tied off and you get it seated properly at the bottom, he climbs up on the inside of the ladder to show its stability. I'll end it here. I just want to say that, again, I am blessed in this area that I have a local fire department that is willing to come out, that's willing to expand their base of knowledge, that's willing to give up what for them and for all of us is the rarest and most valuable resource we have, and that's our personal time. And they were willing to give up their personal time to come out here and do this exercise and add to their repertoire, add to their knowledge. And I just really wanted to share that. So I hope you find something beneficial in this. Thank you.